Making Adobe Acrobat Files Accessible, presented by the Civil Rights Office of the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. Making Accessible PDF Tables. Part 3. How to Remediate a Complex Table. Introduction. In Part 1 of this series, you learned about things to consider and things to avoid in a Microsoft Word document with tables to make it easier to remediate when you convert it to an Adobe PDF file. In Part 2 of this series, you learned how to remediate a simple table. In this module, you will learn how to remediate a complex table. Table talk. What is the difference between a complex table and a simple table? A simple table contains a single set of header rows and a single set of header columns, while a complex table contains two or more rows of column header cells or two or more columns of row header cells and merged header cells. Regardless of the program used to produce the original document, a complex table will always have to be remediated in Adobe Acrobat Pro.
Before we remediate our PDF file containing a complex table, let's see how it sounds to a JAWS user. Complex table 2.pdf-Adobe Reader. Table with 5 columns and 4 rows. Source: organic, conventional, peaches, watermelon, peaches, watermelon. Farmer's market, $4 per lb. Column 2, row 3, organic watermelon, $4 per lb, $5 each. Column 3, row 3, conventional peaches, $5 each, $3 per lb. Column 4, row 3, watermelon, $3 per lb, $4 each. Column 5, row 3, $4 each. Grocery store, $4 per lb. Column 2, row 4, organic watermelon, $4 per lb, $6 each. Column 3, row 4, conventional peaches, $6 each, $2 per lb. Column 4, row 4, watermelon, $2 per lb, $4 each. Column 5, row 4, $4 each. Table end. Wow, that was pretty inaccurate. What a mess.
Whenever you are remediating a complex table, keep these 2 points in mind. 1. The merged cells for the header columns and header rows have to be defined correctly. 2. The header columns and header rows have to be scoped correctly. In its current form, this complex table is not accessible to screen reader users because it's not structured correctly. To make it accessible, you have 2 options. 1. Split the table into 2 simple tables. Or 2. Fix the table with the table editor in Adobe Acrobat Pro. Let's look at the first option, splitting the table into 2 simple tables. Split the table in 2. Although complex tables can be made accessible, simple tables are easier to read. If you have access to the original document, for example, a Microsoft Word file, split the table into 2 simple tables. To do this, go to the original document, copy the complex table, and paste that copy below the original. In the original table, select one of the merged header cells and all of the columns beneath it. Then, right-click and select Delete Columns from the context menu. In the second table, select the other merged header cell and the column beneath it. Then, right-click and select Delete Columns from the menu. In the first table, cut the wording from the merged header cell. Paste it above the table and give it the appropriate heading style. In this case, we'll use heading 2. Repeat that for the second table. In the first table, right-click in the empty header cell and select Delete Cells from the menu. In the Delete Cells dialog box that appears, select Delete Entire Row and then click OK. You should see that the entire row got deleted. In this example, that includes the word Source from the first column. If you want, you can add that header back to the table. Repeat the same steps for the second table. On the first table, select the header row. Right-click, select Table Properties from the menu. Click on the Row tab in the dialog box that opens. Under Options, deselect Allow Row to Break Across Pages and select Repeat as Header Row at the top of each page. Repeat this step for the second table. You have just split the table into two simple tables and reformatted them to be accessible. Do not forget to add the row headers after you convert to PDF. Then you'll be an accessibility wizard. Fix the table with the table editor. Now let's look at the second option. If you cannot split the table into two simple tables, you will have to use the table editor in Adobe Acrobat Pro to set the scope of the table's header cells. Understanding scope. Think of the scope of the header cell as the place you should look for the cells identified by that header. For each header cell, you should either look down the table into the cells below, or look across the table into the cells to the right. Of course, column headers label the cells below them, and row headers label the cells to their right. We can make this obvious to software by specifying the scope. Specifying the scope is especially important when a header cell spans more than one column or row. For example, in our table, the header Organic spans two columns, Peaches and Watermelon. The header Conventional also spans two columns. Visually, this is obvious, but for screen readers and other assistive technologies to interpret the table properly, we must explicitly define the two-column scope of each of these two headers. We call this process scoping the table. To scope a table in a PDF, we use Adobe Acrobat Pro's table editor. To use the table editor, we must enable it first. Enable the table editor. In Adobe Acrobat Pro, open the Accessibility tools and click the Accessibility option in the right panel. Click the Reading Order option to open the Touch Up Reading Order dialog box. Notice that initially, all of the buttons, including the Table Editor button, are disabled. This is because nothing on the page is currently selected. Select Show Page Content Group, and under it, select either Page Content Order or Structure Types. You should see that the table on the page gets highlighted. If you select Structure Types, your table will look similar to this one. If you select Page Content Order, Acrobat Pro will display numbers that indicate the reading order. Click any one of the cells in the table to select it and to enable the Table Editor button. Now that the Table Editor button is enabled, click it. A grid, typically red, will appear on top of the original table. Notice that this grid does not exactly match the size or the structure of the underlying table. Now we are ready to use the Table Editor to set the scope of each header cell. Set the scope of each header cell. As we said before, we must set the scope of each header cell in a table because software cannot determine the scope on its own. In our table, we have 3 header cells that would be ambiguous to software. Source could label the column below it, the row to its right, or both. In fact, this isn't obvious visually either. Without reading the contents of those cells, we couldn't be sure what this header cell labels. Organic spans 2 columns, and conventional spans 2 columns. We also have 6 header cells that are unambiguous visually, but we still need to define each one's scope for software. 2 column headers that read organic, 2 column headers that read conventional, and 2 row headers, farmer's market and grocery store. We will start with the first cell in the table, source. Select the first 2 cells in the first column in one of these 2 ways. Draw a selection inside of the cells, or click on one cell and then shift-click on the other. You should see a faint blue outline denoting that the 2 cells are selected. With the selection made, right-click on either of the selected cells and select Table Cell Properties from the menu. In the Table Cell Properties dialog box that appears, under Type, select Header Cell. For Scope, select Both. From this header, the reader should look in both directions, down and to the right, to find the information that it labels. Under Attributes, set the row span to 2 and leave column span set to 1. And click OK. In the dialog box that appears, click Yes to process the change. You should see that the selected rows have a faint red highlight on them. However, notice that the highlight does not conform correctly to the table cells. To resolve this issue, open the Tags tree. Expand the table tag. Expand the second TR tag, and then right-click on the empty TH tag and select Delete Tag from the menu. With the first header cell properly scoped, let's turn our attention to the headers Organic and Conventional. Because each of these headers look in the same direction, down, and has the same span, 2 columns, we can scope both of them in one step. Enable the Table Editor again. In other words, in the Tools panel at the right, select Reading Order again. Click on any of the cells in the table, and then click Table Editor. You should see that the highlight now conforms to the structure, but not the size of the underlying table. Now select the cells with the words Organic and Conventional, and then right-click and select Table Cell Properties from the menu. In the Table Cell Properties dialog box that appears, we will make these selections to scope these header cells. Under Type, select Header Cell. For Scope, select Column. From each of these header cells, the reader should look down to the content below them. In the Attributes section, leave the row span set to 1 and set the column span to 2. Each of these header cells spans 2 columns. Now click OK. Again, in the dialog box that appears, click Yes to process the change. You should see that the 2 cells get highlighted. Now that we have tagged the header cells that would be ambiguous, let's finish the job by tagging the other header cells. We will start with the 4 column headers. Because each of them labels one column, we can assign the scope of all 4 at once. Select the 4 cells with the words peaches and watermelon in them and right-click and select Table Cell Properties from the menu. In the Table Cell Properties dialog box, under Type, select Header Cell. For Scope, select Column. From each of these header cells, the header row should look down to the content below. Under Attributes, leave both row span and column span set to 1. Each of these header cells labels only one column. Click OK. You should see all 4 cells get highlighted. By now, you probably have the process down. Let's scope the 2 row headers, Farmers Market and Grocery Store. Select the 2 cells with the phrases Farmers Market and Grocery Store in them, and then right-click and select Table Cell Properties from the menu. In the Table Cell Properties dialog box, under Type, select Header Cell. For Scope, select Row. For each of these headers, the header should look to the right. Under Attributes, leave both row span and column span set to 1. Each of these header cells labels only one row. Click OK. You should see that both cells get highlighted. We're done. All of the header cells are scoped. We have one final step: running the accessibility checker to ensure that all of the tagging in our table is valid. Run the accessibility checker. In the Tools panel at the right, click Full Check. The Accessibility Checker Options dialog box will open. In the bottom of this dialog box, click Start Checking. The Accessibility Checker panel will open. In it, click Tables to expand that section. You should see that each of the table's header cells passes.
Now that we've properly defined our table headers, let's see how it sounds to a JAWS user. Complex table 3.pdf-Adobe Reader. Table with 5 columns and 4 rows. Source: organic. Conventional. Source: peaches. Watermelon. Peaches. Watermelon. Farmers Market. $4 per lb. Column 2, row 3, organic peaches Farmers Market. $4 per lb. $5 each. Column 3, row 3, organic watermelon Farmers Market. $5 each. $3 per lb. Column 4, row 3, conventional peaches Farmers Market. $3 per lb. $4 each. Column 5, row 3, conventional watermelon Farmers Market. $4 each. Grocery Store. $4 per lb. Column 2, row 4, organic peaches Grocery Store. $4 per lb. $6 each. Column 3, row 4, organic watermelon Grocery Store. $6 each. $2 per lb. Column 4, row 4, conventional peaches Grocery Store. $2 per lb. $4 each. Column 5, row 4, conventional watermelon Grocery Store. $4 each. Table end.
Summary. In this tutorial, you learned how to remediate a complex table in Adobe Acrobat Pro. In the last tutorial of this series, you will learn how to use Adobe Acrobat Pro to remediate a corrupted table. This concludes our overview of making accessible PDF tables. Part 3, how to remediate a complex table.